Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Yeah, it's Bill Thorpe flying solo. And what the hell happened? Yeah, Jeff is running around with the Hunt clan, has some stuff to take care of today. And as we always say on the Jeff and Bill Show, family comes first. So when you have family commitments, he and I help each other out. That's how it should work on this kind of a show, and that's how it works in life. Yeah, all of you that have spouses and family and stuff, you know, you do the things because they're your family. Sometimes you regret it afterwards because scars and other things happen, but that's okay. I have got a real treat for us today. Devin Patrick Hughes, conductor for Symphony of the Rockies, is live in studio with me. Good morning, Mr. Hughes. Let's see if the microphone works this time.
Hello, Bill. Hey! It's great to be here.
Yay! The crowd goes wild. We figured out the technical issue. That's fantastic. I pushed the right button. Oh, it's all on me. Thank you for joining me this morning. Yes. Oh, I like how you go symphony on us. Now, you're really classing up the joint today. Here, the question I've got for you is this, okay? Devin Patrick Hughes is the conductor of the Symphony of the Rockies. What I want to start out with is talk to me about your journey. How in the world did you become the symphony conductor for the Symphony of the Rockies? Because very, very, very few children in the history of the world have shown up to their parents and said, I want to stand in front of a bunch of people with instruments and wave this stick. How did it happen?
Well, I grew up in Springfield, Illinois, down the street from the Lincoln home. My dad was a lawyer. My mom was a nurse, and she played a little guitar and sang, and my dad was on the symphony board. So they would take me to orchestra concerts as a kid. I had a fascination. I remember being 3 and just thinking about how in the world does one person keep 80 people together? So it started at a really young age, and they would bring great musicals coming through Springfield, Illinois. I would see those. I would come home and sing those. I ended up playing the trombone, later some piano, violin, a little bit of percussion, and just kind of fell in love with everything music. I went to college as a pre-med major, so I ended up being music, and I started out being also a bio major. I also was a very serious Division III baseball player, at least for the first 2 years in college. I kind of peaked my senior year in high school. And so, music and the orchestra just kind of took over my life, probably my late teens. I fell in love with the music of Beethoven, Rachmaninoff, Brahms, but also just remember playing, Name That Tune on the radios shows in the 90s and really just knowing all the pop music, by memory.
Oh, Devin, you're talking my language there, going back and talking about all the music and the things on the air. So this is what I want the audience of Jeff and Bill Show to understand, that, we've all had those moments in our life where we felt like we have disappointed our parents. But remember this, that Devin Patrick Hughes, who is the conductor for Symphony of the Rockies, at one point in his life, as a pre-med student, had to tell his parents he wanted to stand in front of a symphony. They were like, we failed. We have failed. But no, they did take you to the concerts and everything. Okay, first thing I've got to ask you, you talked about how you picked up the trombone, okay? Now, I like this because I'm a brass man as well. Oh. I played the trumpet for years.
Oh, perfect.
I was in the Denver All-City Jazz Band.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not first chair, not second chair, not third chair. But I was
That's
I was
okay.
there.
That's
all
that matters. You're there.
I was there. Yeah. So I was there, and I did the work, and so I appreciate it. So tell me why you chose the trombone rather than picking up, a superior instrument like the trumpet. I'm teasing, but why?
I must have been 8 or 9 years old, and I remember being in the music store and trying a lot of the instruments. I don't think there were string instruments in that store. I didn't try any of those at the time. And it was just, I love the slide. I love the fact that you could make any note you wanted, as opposed to like a key or a piano where, like we're like a violin. Like we can do glisses, you can do the airplane, you can do the jazz thing. And then, I was out on the corner with a friend of mine who played French horn and a friend of mine who played oboe. We were making, nickels and dimes and quarters as, 11-year-old kids. I'm sure we didn't, that we didn't sound as good as we did maybe 10 years later. But I think every instrument to me, it can kind of create that spark. And an instrument is kind of like, for a kid to choose that between the age of 5 and 10, it kind of like gives you an identity. It gives you a purpose. And for us, it's like, it's hard, playing any instrument. So, like, sometimes people ask me, what is the most difficult instrument? And every instrument is almost impossible. Like, if you have a kid playing, any parent knows a 6-year-old playing a violin, it's hard to listen to that for a few years,
I know that from personal experience. Yes. I have 2 violin players in my house. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. But it gives them, this idea that it's not going to come easy. You're going to have days when you don't want to play. And then you get put in the context of the symphony orchestra or an ensemble, or if you're a singer, a chorus, and you harmonize with people. You naturally harmonize. It's like this conversation where nobody's right, and at the same time, everybody's bringing, their top-notch skill that they've been practicing for however many months or years, and making something beautiful for the community.
Now, it's Devin Patrick Hughes. He is the conductor for Symphony of the Rockies. The reason you chose the trombone is exactly the reason that I didn't. It was, when I was little, the lack of precision.
Yeah.
It was hard. Now, I can see why, as an older player, that ability to kind of slide between notes would be great. But as a kid, the lack of precision scared me.
Yeah.
That, and it was an enormous case. And it's a much smaller case to carry to and from.
You're right. There is
school.
the convenience factor.
Yeah, much more convenient. Okay, how did you find a path that eventually landed you in Colorado from Springfield?
Well, I ended up studying in various places in Ithaca, New York, all the way to Vienna in Austria, all the way to Ball State in Indiana, and I did my undergrad in Grinnell College in the middle of Iowa. Wow. And I came here actually to the Lamont School of Music, the University of Denver. It's got a phenomenal music program. I was an artist diploma student, and then I ended up working for an orchestra at the time, that is still the Denver Philharmonic. And then I started with another orchestra called the Niwot Timberline Symphony that would later become the Boulder Symphony. And then in 2013, I took the job with the Symphony of the Rockies, formerly Arapahoe Philharmonic, an orchestra that's been around since 1953. So we're 70 years plus. And as the Symphony of the Rockies, we are really interested in being, this orchestra for everybody in the Mountain States. We're featuring not just classical, but pop music, movie music. For example, August 23rd at Centennial Amphitheater, we really focus on family concerts. So we've got this movie concerts. It's for families. It's a free concert on the green. We're playing music from all the way from Jurassic Park to Star Wars to Indiana Jones to Apollo 13. And so our concerts are really designed to put the music into the hands where it can be most easily received, which is in the context of the family, our family concerts, our discovery concerts. Because we know that, when young people come together and experience this with their parents, it's kind of like a multi-generational thing, like people my age, we remember E.T. and that beautiful music, or Star Wars, or Superman, which is huge now. Superman is one of my favorite music. And to share that, with, like, I have a 3-year-old now, and she's just starting to, I'm just showing her the flight scenes of from Christopher Reeve to Henry Cavill to all the different, and she just loves it. She even loves, like, the monsters when Superman's, fighting the monsters. And so like, for example, one of our concerts November 8th at Lone Tree Arts Center is going to be called 80s Mixtape.
Oh, I've got that circled on my calendar.
And so this is music could be like from Michael Jackson's Thriller. Of course, it could include some great John Williams classics, but all the way to, like, Madonna, Like a Prayer. And it's my experience and strong belief that any piece, when it's played with orchestra, it raises the level of that piece, no matter the genre. So we love to kind of make arrangements and premiere new works that people would not expect for a classical symphony orchestra to be playing.
Hey, you are correct. That's Devin Patrick Hughes, Symphony of the Rockies conductor. He's right. Symphony orchestra elevates any level of music. Ask Metallica. They've done it themselves.
We do Enter Sandman too, by the way. That is fantastic for orchestra.
That originally started out as a lullaby.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's a child's lullaby that James Hetfield wrote, and when they were recording it, the producer at the time comes and goes, nobody's going to play this on the radio. It's way too dark. We got to change it. And Hetfield's like, and they're like, listen, do you want us to release this as a single, or does this have to be a deep track on the album? He goes, yeah, it's a single. So he went back and he reworked the lyrics with the exception of the chorus. That's why the chorus still talks about the Sandman coming.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Again, I can't do long division, but I know stupid stuff like that.
No, that's cool. And I love the idea of the lullaby in music because, another concert that we have October 11th at Pace Center features Mahler's Second Symphony, which is the Resurrection Symphony. But Mahler was a very interesting composer. He was like me, a conductor by day, but at night and over the summer, he would write these massive symphonies that was his real passion. Wow. that he never thought anybody would play. And by the time he died in 1911, he was just conducting and thinking his music would be kind of left to obscurity. But in the slow movement of his first symphony, the Titan Symphony, he takes a very famous lullaby. Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping, Brother John? Brother John. Yeah. And he turns it into the minor mode.
Oh.
Da da dee da 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 dee da 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 dee da 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 da. And not only that, he gives it to a solo contrabass, a big bass, one bass instrument. It's an 80-piece orchestra.
Oh my gosh!
The first time this has ever happened in the history of symphonic music, and it's just this cryptic like obviously the symphony triumphs at the end, but a lot of it's cool how all the way from Mahler to Metallica, you have people even in Mozart, any M you want to call Mozart, taking folk music, taking lullabies, taking children's songs, and that's really their raw materials.
Oh, that's amazing. So, okay, Devin Patrick Hughes, conductor, Symphony of the Rockies. We're going to talk about their calendar in just a second. They've been around for more than 70 years. Here's the cool thing. Symphony of the Rockies doesn't necessarily have a home base per se. They go around, and they're going to be at Centennial Center Park August 23rd doing their Cinematic Symphony. Devin was just talking about that. We're going to be playing scores from iconic movies. Great for the family. The mixtape concert at the Lone Tree Arts Center is coming up on November 8th. 7:30 is the start time on all of these. Pace Center, October 11th, they're doing just what Devin was talking about. Mahler's Resurrection, music of the Lion King is going to be happening. December 20th, Newman Center, get ready for Christmas. It's their Let It Glow performance. November 13th, they're at Legacy Campus Theater. This is a morning performance, and it's the Creative Spirits. It's a children's discovery concert happening. And December 14th, 2 and 4 p.m. at the Newman Center, they're doing Holly Jolly, getting you into the spirit as well. Okay, so Devin Patrick Hughes, Symphony of the Rockies conductor. When did you decide to make that step and say, I'm putting down the instrument and I'm picking up the tiny stick without the triangle? How'd you make that transition?
Well, it happened pretty early. I mean, some conductors, they have full professional orchestra musician careers, and then they pick it up. But for me, I was like waving the arms around at the age of 3. And, like you talked about my parents being disappointed. They were disappointed in a lot of things. But actually, my dad had written in a book when I was a baby. I mean, I just found this out, because when you have a 3-year-old, you go back to all the things, and sometimes your parents tell you, oh, you did this. And so he wrote, like, what do you want Devin to be? And he wrote Conductor. So it's got, but I never considered doing that as a profession. I started essentially when I was like 20 or so. I was playing in the orchestra, and the nice thing about trombone and even trumpet and then triangle is it's not like the violins where you're probably playing, 5,000 to 10,000 notes in a symphony. You're playing significantly less, so you're resting a lot. You have big bars of rest so I would check out the scores. Like, I would really just observe and kind of absorb everything. I had a really great, inspiring teacher, conductor when I was in college, who had studied at Mannes Conservatory, who kind of had the lineage from all the great European masters. And so I just kind of soaked it up and did some study abroad things, and then just got as many degrees as I could until I got my first job, and just started and found Colorado because it's such an amazing place to live. And I met my wife here; she's a Colorado native. And started building these orchestras. I saw this gap of orchestras are very stuffy. Like orchestras, even orchestras that sometimes talk the talk, are not always as inclusive or inviting to young people, to people who like different styles. So I started the Symphony of the Rockies. We started the Symphony of the Rockies together out of the Arapahoe Philharmonic. as a vehicle, just to make the music as accessible as possible, make the ticket prices affordable, bring Beethoven, but also the great film music, also the great country music, also great Western music. We have a great Western show that we do with like The Good, Bad, the Ugly, and the Magnificent Seven, and the Lone Ranger, and all that stuff. So just basically sharing the symphony with as many people as possible, and recognizing Colorado as a place that loves the arts and loves music, but loves all these different styles of music that the orchestra can highlight.
See, you're singing my song. I grew up at the knee of my father, listening to the Boston Pops and Arthur Fiedler. Yeah, Arthur on vinyl. Going back to Fiedler on vinyl, and he had a huge collection. So, I remember spinning those. So, got to talk to you. This is Devin Patrick Hughes, conductor of Symphony of the Rockies. We are highlighting their upcoming season. August 23rd, right around the corner here, it's going to be Centennial Center Park. You can check out the Cinematic Symphony, where they're doing stuff from movies. The mixtape concert is coming up at the Lone Tree Art Center November 8th. Start times are 7:30 on this. In October, it's Mahler's Resurrection and the music of the Lion King at the Pace Center, and they roll into December with a couple of performances that'll get you in the mood. Okay, Devin Patrick Hughes, conductor, Symphony of the Rockies. Who's your favorite composer? And remember, they're not listening, so it doesn't matter.
Well, maybe. If they're still living, they could be. You never know what they're tuning on to. You have a popular show.
Thank you.
Well, I always go back to Beethoven, and I also kind of feel like it's every composer. I mean, that's the difference between maybe a composer and a conductor, is as a conductor, I have to love everything.
Oh, interesting.
Because it's not really about what I love as much as what the audience wants. And to some extent, what the orchestra members want to play.
Okay.
So, for example, like Beethoven had a lot of struggles in his life. The reason I think that we relate to these composers and why they're still household names, and they will be, I think, 500 years from now and maybe even 1,000 years from now, is because Beethoven, was almost completely deaf.
Yeah.
By the time he was 35, 40, he had a lot of health problems. He had considered not going on many times, like with the Heiligenstadt Testament. He actually wrote that he was contemplating suicide. But he pressed on because he had this message. He had this belief system that he wanted to share with the world, that was, no matter what's happening to you, you can make your way through it. And you don't have to read his letters or learn about his life to know that. The music tells you that.
Yes.
Like, just listening to the music. And if it's not explicit to someone, by the Ninth Symphony, he puts a chorus in to tell you joy, spark of the gods, right? Like he's giving us this message. And same with, like, for example, this concert we're doing on October 11th. Mahler 1860 to 1911, he loved Beethoven. Like, Beethoven kind of set the standard. And when you talk about the Resurrection Symphony, there are kind of overtones, ecclesiastical overtones, kind of Catholic, but also, overtones of Jesus. But also Mahler was a Jewish composer who converted to Catholicism. And he's thinking of the Jesus story. Like, he's thinking of that parable, how it applies to everyone. Like, everyone is going to get hit. Everyone is going to get knocked down. Nobody is going to get anything handed to you. So, but the symphony, the resurrection, the idea of going through struggle and coming out triumphant in whatever way that means to you, that is what these great symphonies are saying. So I think when somebody says, well, I haven't studied an instrument and I don't understand a symphony, I think everybody understands a symphony, and it's our goal when you come to an orchestra concert. Obviously, I think you're going to be moved by the sounds and the inspiration, but deeply, within all of our souls, we want to share this idea, and that's that passed down from all these great composers, is that you will get through it. Like, you are supported. You're going to make it. Keep pressing on. You're doing the right thing.
Oh, I love how you've encapsulated that, because I hear my two favorites are Mozart and Beethoven. It seems very pedantic, but those are them. And I, as a kid, grew up with them. I feel Beethoven's music comes from time a portion of pain that finds the joy, where I see Mozart more times coming from a point of challenge and joy and finding the joy. He doesn't have the pain inside of some of his music that I feel Beethoven does deliver. Beethoven, there is this arc that Beethoven has, but Mozart, there's a different level, but there's a celebration and there's a joy found inside there. But I don't hear some of the emotional pain, sometimes the depth that I hear in Beethoven. I think Mozart comes at it from a different, but for Mozart there was an ease.
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I like how you put it, and I think Mozart also, and there is this kind of, in some ways, misperception that Mozart had it easy because his wife also, people around him after he died did destroy a lot of his sketches. So there's a lot we don't know, but at the same time we do know Mozart was a party animal.
Yes.
But he was also a workaholic.
He would never give up. Yes.
He worked all night. He probably never, that's why he died when he was 36. Like it wasn't, I mean, that was the kind of an average age to die in that time if you were living in a big city in Europe. But he worked so hard, he would sometimes write overtures the night before the premiere and just scribble it out and throw it to give it to the musicians. But also, we know that Beethoven was had a strong sense of morals and kind of family. I mean, not to say that Mozart also had a family, but we know that Mozart was kind of a philanderer. He had a great time. And Beethoven even looked at Così fan tutte, which is All Women Are Like That. That's one of Mozart's the greatest operas, which is about two couples that swap.
Yeah.
Right. And so Beethoven would not
reality TV shows.
Yeah, it was the reality TV show of the 1790s. Beethoven would not perform that opera because it was immoral, right? So he had a different, I think, sense of what it meant to kind of do the right thing. But I like how you characterize that, because they are kind of the same lineage if you follow them, and Mozart and Beethoven, I could conduct both of those composers the rest of my life and nothing else and be perfectly content with my time on earth.
Man, that is Devin Patrick Hughes. He is the conductor for Symphony of the Rockies. We are highlighting their upcoming season. We're going to talk more about it in a second. This is Jeff and Bill on News Talk 710 KNUS. Here today, Bill Thorpe flying solo, but I'm not alone. I have got Devin Patrick Hughes, conductor, Symphony of the Rockies, here in studio with me. We are talking about the upcoming August 23rd, Centennial Center Park Cinematic Symphony. 5:30 p.m. it starts, and then November 8th at Lone Tree Arts Center, 7:30 p.m. It's the mixtape concert. Okay, Devin Patrick Hughes, we only got a little less than a minute. How do you choose the musical selections for these upcoming concerts? How do you go through the process?
We try to look at our whole season and try to say, if you were a music lover, just a general, but you had a specific genre or composer or artist, like we try to say, how can we get something in there for you? We try to bring children's programming all the way to, Gone with the Wind, or going back to, we have the Mozart Requiem. Bill, you're talking about who your favorite composer is. Mozart. Mozart's Requiem is one of the greatest also historical musical enigmas, where we don't know, was Mozart writing this for his own Requiem? Was Mozart murdered? Like, was there a masked man that came and commissioned the Requiem? But most importantly, this is just kind of eternal music, and we're trying to provide everything from the uplifting to the entertaining to the educational, in the entire season, to make it possible for everyone to experience the symphony on their own terms.
Now, you can experience this by going to Symphony of the Rockies, symphonyrockies.org, symphonyrockies.org, symphonyrockies.org. That's Devin Patrick Hughes, conductor of Symphony of the Rockies. I'll be back tomorrow. This is Jeff and Bill Show, 710 KNUS.